Hi Scorpio and welcome to your horoscope for January 2025. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today. My horoscopes are based on the UK time zone, and please watch them in this order: rising sign first, then sun sign, and finally for your moon sign. So I'm going to break down January into 4 weeks, and I'm going to pay particular attention to the moon, how it moves through your houses and when, so you get an idea of where you're supported on what days during January. But before I get into that, I just want to mention that January is a really great month for stargazers. On Friday, the 3rd of January, you could see Venus really closely to the moon. And to me, that was a real symbol of hope after the black moon in Capricorn that we had on the 30th of December 2024. Venus is the planet of love and beauty and creativity and giving life to things. And the moon is your heart and your home and what makes you feel like you belong. So the combination of those was really a sign here at the beginning of January that it's okay for you to express yourself and to start new things and to go into different areas that are unfamiliar and to explore. On the 18th of January, you'll see Venus and Saturn, and they'll appear really closely to each other. They're going to be 2.2 degrees apart from each other. And again, if you have a clear night where you can see them, right? But Saturn is structure and security. And the connection with Venus here, this is the ability to express what you truly love without any doubt or fear. And it's more of a natural process that I'm alive. Of course, I'm going to contribute something wonderful to the world. You may also see shooting stars via the quadrantid meteor shower that continues until the 12th of January. So again, if you have a clear night, look at the sky, and if you see a shooting star, make a wish for 2025. So starting with week 1, Wednesday the 1st to Sunday the 5th of January, and I'm a little bit late with this, I'm filming this on the 4th, but I still want to see what the planets were doing in the first 4 days. So on the 1st of January, we had the moon in Capricorn, and that was in your 3rd house of communication. So that's something you would have really been able to work at. What is it that I'm expressing? What is it that I'm communicating? But also, it would have meant that if you wanted to make small moves within your area, so let's say you're living in New York and you want to move to downtown from the Upper West Side, whatever it is. So a small move within your area, that would have been very much supported. On the 2nd and 3rd, the moon then goes into Aquarius and it moves into your 4th house of family next to Pluto, transformation and change, and Venus, the planet of love and beauty. And all of those are in that 4th house of your roots and what makes you feel like you belong and who you're closest to. Aquarius is the sign of the humanitarian and the teacher. So on the 2nd and 3rd, if you did connect with family members or your closest friends, you would have really been able to contribute something to their lives, which would have really helped them. Also, on the 3rd of January, Venus ingresses into Pisces, so it moves out of your 4th house and it goes into your 5th, and there it joins Saturn and Neptune, all of them in Pisces. So that is a moment, and it extends into the 4th and 5th. I'll get into that in a moment. But it's really about, I deserve to love. I deserve to do things in work that I'm really passionate about. I deserve to have people in my life who I love and who love me back. And I'm also feeling the love via the higher realms, and that's giving me a sense of well-being and like everything is going to be okay. That is a wonderful, priceless sense that you can't buy. This faith in the process that because I'm me and because I'm here, everything is going to work out the way it's meant to. So you would have started January with a real sense of peace, and that then extends and gets even stronger when the moon goes into Pisces on the 4th and 5th, and it joins all of those other placements in your 5th house. So expect good news in terms of getting a spiritual message that informs you what the ideal work would be. And if you're a student or if you're retired, what the ideal thing is to work towards or to work on, and really pay attention to what you receive. So if you have a spiritual practice, please use that on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You'll get really useful info. Also, from the 6th of December last year until the 23rd of February 2025, Mars is in retrograde. And Mars is the planet of drive and ambition, and it's what you really want and what you're not going to compromise on, right? It rules Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. It's a fire sign. And here it's in Leo, also a fire sign, but Mars in Leo is a bit much. It's very bombastic. It's I'm in charge, I'm the boss. So the retrograde actually helps because it dampens some of that a little bit and mitigates it, and it's in your 10th house of work. So you're able to lead and to present and to be confident and not to suffer from self-doubt, but it prevents you from being overbearing or controlling or a little bit of an egomaniac. It cools things down a little bit. But with that said, don't expect a lack of energy. Expect really being able to do things in work that usually would fill you with fear. If you Google the greatest fear for most people, public speaking comes up. And for you, Scorpio, that's not going to be an issue while Mars is in retrograde, even if you dislike public speaking. The other thing is that the two personal planets, Mercury and Venus, are direct all month. So don't expect any problems with communication or transportation. And also feel free to start a new business or to start a new relationship. This is the time to do it. So in the first 5 days, let's see which houses the moon covered in your chart. So it started in your 3rd house of communication, and it ended up in your 5th house of what you love. So we're at the very bottom of your chart. So where are my roots? What makes me feel rooted, and do I want to change that? And also, what are my roots and where do I belong as far as my family relationships are concerned and my intimate romantic relationships? And listen to the universe for the input it gives you. It's going to lead you in the right direction. Week 2, Monday to Sunday, the 6th to the 12th of January. On the 6th and 7th, we've got the moon in Aries, and that now is in your 6th house of daily routine and structure in your physical body, and it joins the North Node, Chiron, and the transiting ascendant in Aries, all in that 6th house. So these 2 days are wonderful in terms of you to get your life in order. If you need to organize the calendar, or if you decide that I want to treat my body differently through a different way of exercising or changing my diet, these 2 days are really going to allow you to take control of those things, to completely dismiss any fears around, oh, change, horrible, scary. You're not going to go into that whatsoever. Instead, you've got this really no-nonsense attitude that says, if I want to feel better, there are certain things I can do to heal myself, to have a better experience in my own body and in the everyday routine of my life. On the 6th of January as well, Mars retrogrades back into Cancer, and it goes into your 9th house of travel, education, and broadening your horizons. And Mars in Cancer is, as far as I'm concerned, let me know what you think in the comments, but I don't think that's a very happy placement for Mars, because Mars wants to be me, me, me. And in Cancer, it's forced to think about other people and how it can use all of its energy to take care of other people. In retrograde, again, it cools the unruliness of Mars at times. And in your 9th house, I think, and it sits next to the part of fortune and Hades in Cancer in your 9th, I feel it's going to give you the motivation to learn and to study things that you may have put off because it just seemed like too much or it seemed overwhelming. And instead, you're going to get this sense that, hey, having this information and then applying it is going to make your life a lot easier. So put the doubts aside, don't procrastinate, and devote yourself to acquiring new information. It will help you moving forward. Also on the 6th, the moon reaches its 2nd quarter, so it's waxing, it's getting bigger, on its way to becoming a full moon in Cancer on the 13th of January. So on that day, that's when the energy is strongest. If you're trying to sort things out, if you're trying to change your diet, your exercise routine, it's really going to be easy to implement those changes. The moon then moves on into Taurus on the 8th and 9th of January, and it goes into your 7th house of relationships, and it sits next to Uranus, the planet of the miraculous, the unexpected, and the chaotic. What's also in there is your transiting rising sign. you're transiting ascendant in Taurus. So these 2 days, you'll find it very easy to make new connections, to start new relationships, and to show up completely as yourself. So if you're someone who's single and going on dates is kind of frightening, and you tend to put up a facade, you show up and you put your best foot forward, you won't need to do that this time during these 2 days. You'll show up as your true natural self. The nerves are also going to be pretty non-existent. And it's really likely that if you put yourself out there in some way, that something really unlikely and miraculous does happen. So if you're a Scorpio looking for a new meaningful relationship, the 8th and 9th of January are a fabulous opportunity to have that show up in your life. Also on the 8th, we've got Mercury ingressing into Capricorn. So it joins your transiting midheaven, Pallas, and the Sun, all in Capricorn in your 3rd. So again, if there are any small changes that you need to make in terms of your physical location, or if you need to work at writing your novel, or completing the sculpture, or getting your point across, you're going to be incredibly focused on doing that work. And by the end of it, you'll have the outcome that you want. So if you're a Scorpio who works creatively or who wants to change their living arrangement, once Mercury goes into Capricorn, it really helps you to do that. And it stays in Capricorn until the 27th of January when it ingresses into Aquarius. So use that, almost 3-week period to be prolific, to work hard, to do as much as you can and want. You'll be shocked at how much you can get done. On the 10th and 11th, the moon goes into Gemini. And it joins Jupiter, the lucky planet, the great benefic, also in Gemini, in your 8th house of institutions and the authorities. So if you have any mediation going on, or legal proceedings, or you're in touch with the tax people, or there are things with the government, visa applications. During this 2-day period, the 10th and the 11th, any of those kind of interactions with these big institutions, governing bodies, Jupiter really supports you to get the outcome that you want. It fills you with good luck and good fortune. So you're incredibly charmed in that area of life on the 10th and the 11th. On the 12th, the moon goes into Cancer, but it also stays in Cancer moving into week 3, the 13th and 14th. And it moves into your 9th house of travel, education, broadening your mindset. And you've got Mars in Cancer in retrograde there, and you've got Hades in Cancer in retrograde there as well. So again, the moon, what feels like home, is the sense that, of course, I want to learn new things. I even want to learn things that might seem scary, or that may seem like I'm out of my depth. I'm not clever enough to learn this. You have the confidence to face those things head on, to study them. And then if you look at the opposite side of the chart, your 3rd house, you've got Mercury and Pallas, wisdom, you're transiting midheaven and the Sun in your 3rd house of communication. So the combination of that allows you to learn and study the most difficult things. And it's also very likely that that learning then has a positive influence on your working life, or if you're a student or retired, what you're working towards or what you're working on. So let's see which houses the moon covered in week 2. So on the 6th, it started in your 6th house, and then it ended up on the 12th of January in your 9th house. So that is the 6th house and the 3rd quadrant. 6th house is work, daily routine, but then the 3rd quadrant is your connection to other people out there in the world. So this second week is very much about how do I grow and expand from the place that I'm in now? How do I change my daily routine so that I can resolve issues with institutions? And how can I change my daily routine by learning something new and bringing a lot more information into my life. So it could look like you add an hour of study into your daily routine, whereas before there wasn't an hour of study. Week 3, Monday to Sunday, the 13th to 19th of January. On the 13th and 14th, we still have the moon in Cancer, so all those same things towards learning difficult subject matters applies. And on the 13th particularly, we have a full moon in Cancer, so that's when you're at the peak of your powers in that regard, and you're able to absorb as much information as possible, and you're like a sponge, and you're able to absorb things that will serve you in future. The moon then goes into Leo on the 15th and 16th, and it goes into your 10th house of career. And these 2 days are great for you to put yourself out there when it comes to work. So, if you're working in an office and something needs to be done, and the employer says, who's going to volunteer? And usually it's taking on more work than you're actually being paid for, right? Or it's the opportunity to do a public presentation and to train other people. Anything like that, on the 15th and 16th, you'll nail that, but also you'll really enjoy it. So if you're an introvert or if you have social anxiety, those things are going to be mitigated and reduced on the 15th and 16th. And I think you can actually get a kick out of those kind of things. And again, if you're then taking on something that you're doing willingly and you're volunteering for it, I think other people are going to notice that and they will want to return the favor in some way, particularly in your working life. Then we have the moon going into Virgo on the 17th and 18th of January, and it goes into your 11th house of hopes and dreams and informal relationships like friendships. Virgo is a sign that's ruled by Mercury, the communication planet, and Virgo's gift is that it's able to take a lot of information, assess it, and come up with an answer to create meaning. And in your 11th house and all the stuff it's opposing in your 5th, it'll tell you what you really want as far as what you love to do work-wise and what you want as far as your romantic relationships are concerned. And if you've been unclear about the big picture direction in either of those areas, on the 17th and 18th, you'll get a totally clear answer to what is most important and what you want to work on and how you can bring that into your life for a greater sense of happiness. On the 19th, we have the moon going into Libra, and we've got a similar case that it stays in Libra in week 4 on the 20th and 21st, but it does this first here in week 3, and it moves into your 12th house of spirituality and spiritual strength. If you look at the glyph of Libra, it's a bridge with a bump in it. If you're someone who's an atheist, or you have zero interest in spirituality, or you've never felt some sort of connection, the 19th, 20th, and 21st are an opportunity for you to jump over your own shadow and to connect with something that exists in the spiritual realms and to make a very, very important new connection and to start an important relationship with the universe or source or your angels or your guides or your ancestors. On the 19th as well, the sun moves into Aquarius, and it moves out of your 3rd house of communication and into your 4th house of family and your roots and what makes you feel like you belong in your home. And it sits next to Pluto, transformation and change, and the part of fortune. Both are also in Aquarius. So from the 19th until the end of the month, you're really going to want to improve your family relationships by communicating things that will help other people. So it's the same theme as I mentioned about your work, where you're willing to give more than is expected of you. And let me know what you think of that. A lot of people, and I see the point of disagreeing with this and saying, do you know what, in a job, you shouldn't do more than you're paid for. It makes no sense. And you shouldn't do unpaid overtime. But for you, Scorpio, in this case, by giving more in your work earlier in the month and by helping other people in your closest relationships, they are going to pick up on that. They're going to notice. And all of your relationships in both of those areas are going to improve massively. If they weren't going to notice, then who cares? But they will. So add as much value as you want and as you can. It's really going to pay off for you. So let's see then. The third week, excuse me if I've done this already, but in the third week, the moon started in your 9th house and it ended in your 12th house. So that is the 9th house and the 4th quadrant, houses 10, 11, 12. And the great thing is that you're able to learn things and face the most difficult subjects. And that's going to put you in a position where you transcend your existing relationships, and this added knowledge and the fact that other people are paying attention to how you've grown and developed is really going to improve your circumstances both in work and at home. Week 4, Monday to Friday, the 20th to the 31st of January. On the 20th and 21st, we still have the moon in Libra. So all of those spiritual, the ability to have a spiritual breakthrough, to connect to the higher realms, that continues. Also on the 24th, the moon reaches its 4th quarter, so it's waning down to becoming a new moon. And the 21st particularly is going to be a moment where you don't really expect so much. You can just relax, you can sit back, you can tune into things that exist out there in the universe. And that is when that energy peaks. So if you've always wanted to have that kind of relationship with something intangible, the 19th, 20th and 21st are best to get that going. On the 22nd and 23rd, the moon moves into Scorpio, your sign, and it's in your 1st house of self. And it joins Vesta, which is the hearth, the home, and Juno, which represents endless summer. So those 2 days are days where you're going to feel absolutely at home in yourself. You're going to be feeling very proud of what you've done in the month so far. And those 2 days are an opportunity to celebrate. And again, if you're single and looking, it's a great day to put yourself out there and to celebrate a new relationship that's likely to appear in your life. So there are a lot of things here, Libra. No, not Libra, you're Scorpio, excuse me. There are a lot of things for you, Scorpio, that are handed to you on a silver platter here in January. On the 24th, 26th, and 24th, 25th, and 26th, the moon moves into Sagittarius and it goes into your 2nd house of money. Sagittarius is the centaur. He's always got his bow and arrow pointing towards a particular thing. And it means that you're able to focus on your securities, your assets, your income, your money, and what different directions you can move into in order to affect more abundance and prosperity in your life. And that moon opposes Jupiter and the transiting ascendant in your 8th in Gemini. So even discussions with institutions or the authorities, if you focus on getting those resolved, you'll be able to reach a satisfying conclusion so that you can get something that's stressful off your plate, even if it isn't directly money related. Then on the 27th and 28th, the moon goes into Capricorn and it goes into your 3rd house of communication. It now joins Pallas, which is wisdom, and Mercury, also in Capricorn. So again, what's going to feel very comfortable is, how can I study the things that I feel like I have the least talent for, and how can I make those my own? How can I master them? And how can I increase my own levels of wisdom? On the 27th, Mercury ingresses into Aquarius, and that joins Pluto and the transiting midheaven and the sun in Aquarius in your 4th house of family and roots. So again, the 27th particularly is a great day to improve any of your relationships through discussion and sitting down and having a chat. If you've had conflict with someone, you can transform that relationship through doing the work, talking to each other, and really putting the conflict to bed. That's the best day to do it, really. Then on the 29th and 30th, the moon goes into Aquarius and it joins Mercury and Pluto and the midheaven. So it's not just the 27th, but it's the 28th and the 29th and the 30th that are ideal for you to work on any relationships that you really care about, that are meaningful to you. It doesn't just have to be family, it could be really important friends in your life, and to talk things out. And if there's an apology that needs to be made from you, you're going to find that it's very easy to make that apology, even if you don't usually like apologies. On the 29th, we have a new moon in Aquarius, and that's when that energy peaks. The new moon is when the moon goes pitch black, pulls in a ton of Aquarius energy, in this case, into your 4th house. So you're really going to be willing to listen to what the other person is saying, to consider it, to learn from it, and then to give your response in a very fair way. Yeah, so if you have challenges and difficulties in those intimate relationships, those closest relationships, at the end of the month here, look at those and you'll be able to make a lot of change occur. And then on the 30th of January, we've got Uranus, the planet of the miraculous and unexpected. That goes direct until the 5th of September 2025. It's in your 7th house of relationships in Taurus. And Scorpio, for you, this is awesome because it means that anything can happen in your relationships. Any good thing can come in. A new partner, a relationship that may have had some difficulty and now it's back to the way it was and you're happy being together. It's a real turnaround. And with that, the gift of January, but also the next 9 months for you, is that any wonderful thing can happen in your relationships with other people. And that's not just romantic relationships. It can be with your boss and your colleagues and your neighbors and anybody in your life. On the 31st, the moon goes into Pisces. And again, it joins Saturn, Venus, Neptune, North Node in Pisces in your 5th house. And it's a great day to enjoy the relationships you have and to feel the love from other people. But it's also a good day to start a new relationship on the right footing. So let's see which houses were covered in the last 11 days of January. So on the 20th, the moon started in Libra in your 12th, and it ends up in your 5th house. So it covers the 12th house of spirituality, spiritual strength, the first quarter, houses 1, 2, 3, and then houses 4 and 5. So the last 10 days are really about letting yourself be informed, learning as much as you can, and then the latter half of those 11 days are improving your existing relationships and opening up to new relationships. So it's all going in the right direction here. So Scorpio, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful January. If you would like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website, gregoryscott.com. I use astrology, the tarot, numerology, as well as my intuition in my personal readings. But if you just want astrology or just tarot or just numbers, that's no problem. Just let me know via the email. To draw up your birth chart, I need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, then please order a chart rectification with me. That's a process where I work it out. And that's great because then I have the ascendant and the correct house placements. If you can't do that, I can still draw up a chart without the correct time of birth. I can use sunrise, but it means the ascendant isn't right. I can answer any questions about what's coming up in future. If it's your birthday, I can do a solar return chart to see what's coming up in the next year. If you're interested in particular locations, I look at astrocartography for that. So if you have any questions, please do get in touch for a personal reading. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please. That helps it show up in searches. Subscribe for more videos. And if you like this video, then please share it with someone who you think might also like it. That helps the channel to grow. I do a daily tarot reading on the channel as well, so if you'd like to watch that, please become a member of the channel. And watch this space for the videos on the full moon and the new moon that is coming up. I'll make separate videos on that. Have a wonderful month, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.